Now, we've got a story here that completely changed the direction that we're going from banks to looking at what's happening with the police state. And this is something that I saw really, really disturb me. This is a 14-year-old who was tasered in the face. Absolutely amazing pictures. If you can see this, it's absolutely amazing. Both eyes are blackened and swollen. He's got contusions all over his face. It's horrible. He was shoplifting $31.93 worth of merchandise from a Walmart. Now, he was handcuffed, and he tried to run away, and they tasered him in the face while handcuffed. And his mother was told that she could not see him for quite some time. It says the extensive lacerations, the bruising, and black eyes were allegedly the result of him having been tasered and fallen to the ground on the pavement. Except if you look at his face, both sides of his face are beaten up. His mother believes that he was beaten while handcuffed. But to taser a child in the face like that, can't they run him down? I mean, are they that out of shape? If they're that out of shape, why are they in the police department? But listen to the excuse that they gave here. They said the boy probably turned around to see if the officer was chasing him when the barb caught his cheek, said the district attorney. With handcuffs, there was nothing to break his fall as his legs gave out. Well, that's what happens when you taser somebody. They fall straight to the ground. We've got another 17-year-old in Bastrop here just outside of Austin who was tasered because he was standing in the way of a cop who wanted to get to a fight between two other people, two girls who were fighting, and just tasered this kid in the back, according to the witnesses who were there. And, of course, he went down like a rock, hit his head on the concrete, and is in a coma and was in critical condition. I'm not sure what the latest on that case is. That was the end of last week, the case of that, and we had students who walked out and protest there at the school. This is what's happening everywhere. And so the question to you is, and I'm going to take some of your calls here, the question is, what are we going to do to rein in this out-of-control police state? How do we get that back? Are some of you going to run for office and institute some reforms? Because one of the things that never happens is there's never any accountability on these police brutality cases. We always see that these people are put on paid leave because of the unions and because of the government's attitude anymore. Nothing ever happens to the officers themselves. They're not fired. They're not personally held responsible for this. At the very least, can't we cut the budget of the police department instead of putting that burden on the taxpayers when they injure somebody like this child excessively? Instead of letting the police department just go on and buy another gigantic piece of military hardware from Homeland Security, can't we have them take the fine to compensate this victim out of their budget at the very least if we can't find the officers, if we can't hold them responsible and move them out of the department? So the problem is when you tolerate that, you're sending a message to other officers that it's okay to do this. And at some point, that has to stop. And if your people in your local city council and mayor won't do that, maybe you need to run for office and do something about it yourself. Let's take a call. We've got Eddie from Arizona. Eddie, what's on your mind today?
Yes, I just wanted to give a solution out there for your research staff to do, or info warriors in general. I know the book Superclass said there were 6,000 people who ran the minions for the 120 families. I would like all their names known and faces published with a blurb about what they do and who they are. We can kind of turn this around on its head like a fight club. They all go out to eat. They all have masseuses. They all have private security. And I think if everyone knew their involvement in the basic destruction of our planet, and if we could actually get their names and faces out there, kind of like the 52 cards in Iraq, the most wanted, not to have a bloody revolution, not to go killing police and people kill each other. That's crazy. But we need to let these little tiny group of people know, we know who you are, we know what you look like, and kind of turn this thing on its head.
Well, that's why it's very important. I agree. That's why it's very important to have something like WikiLeaks. That's why it's very important to have leaks like we see from Edward Snowden. They're portraying him as if he was a criminal and as if he was harming our national security. What harms our national security is when our government acts as criminals. And so when you see these kind of leaks from WikiLeaks, you see these leaks from Ed Snowden, That's when we see what's really going on behind the scenes. We have people who will leak the proceedings of the Bilderberg group, and we know now that that was something that was set up in its initial creation. They were talking about creating the EU and the European Union, and now we see these things being consolidated through the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We have a lot of information. The problem is that people are caught up in the superficialities of life, just like they're caught up in the minimum wage, and they don't see what's really happening underneath it. Let's talk to, thanks Eddie in Arizona, let's talk to Kyle in Canada. Kyle, what's on your mind?
How are you?
Doing good. What's up?
Just first want to say, God bless you and Alex. You guys do a great job. It's absolutely incredible what you guys do every day.
Well,
I just wanted to mention the economic collapse and that's going to happen in the States and undoubtedly affect Canada. Is going to usher in the mark of the beast system. Basically, they already pretty much have the mark of the beast system in place. I don't know if they have it in the States like they do in Canada, but if you pay with a pay pass in Canada, a credit card or a debit card, it operates on the same RFID frequency that they're going to use in the chip that's going to go in your hand or your head. It's unbelievable. Basically, it's just unbelievable what they've set up.
Well, did you hear the article that I was talking about earlier, where the CIA helped to fund this project in India that's assigning a number to every person in India?
I haven't heard about that. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's being funded by the CIA. So you got to ask yourself, why is the CIA interested in inventorying the people of India? Well, of course, it's because they're going to do it to the people of America, and we see this happening in multiple fronts. That's the other thing that you see happening is they don't attack in just one area. They will attack with multiple fronts on something like identifying people with RFID, numbering them. That is something that's going to come at us from multiple ways. They never just have one strategy. They always have multiple strategies. Thank you very much, Kyle in Canada. Let's go to Ryan in Texas. Ryan, what's on your mind?
Lots on my mind, actually, sir. But one of the main things I wanted to touch up on was you mentioned how Obama wants to shift the minimum wage equation.
Yes.
Whenever I was in elementary school, I'm sorry, I'm an accountant student at A&M Kingsville, but whenever I was in elementary school, our teachers taught us how to do proportional fractions. For example, if gas is worth $3 per gallon now, you put the denominator as, what is minimum wage right now, $7.25, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's $3 over $7.25 equals to X over whatever the new proposed minimum wage is, cross multiply, divide, and you will see the paradigmatic equation shift based upon the minimum wage increase. And most people aren't able to process that type of...
Well, yeah, you see that whenever they put out a sales tax, they always do that. I remember, you can have a sales tax of 6%, and they're going to change that from 6 to 7%. What they tell everybody, the government tells everybody, and the media is their willing partner in this. They say, well, we're going to have a 1 penny increase in the sales tax. It's like, no, you're not. You're taking a 6% tax rate and you're changing it to a 7% tax rate. That's 1/6. Okay, that's a 17% increase. It's not a 1 penny increase. They lie to people and they prey on people's ignorance. Just like I was talking about earlier, where they, with extra payday loans, they charge people over 200%. And then when you call them on it, they say, oh, that's not usury. That's not a loan. That's a line of credit. We're going to be right back with your calls. We're going to be talking about the minimum wage, and we're going to be talking about Obama as a burgeoning dictator. Now you can watch the Infowars Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at Infowars.com/show.